chairman of the forum, as well as the governor of the Central Bank of Sierra Leone, Shaku Sise, both spoke on the challenges facing the second currency project.
Many of the countries find it difficult to meet the targets, the fiscal target. That is a major, and the inflation target also continues to elude some of the countries. But we are making strides towards that. I can't say exactly whether we'll be able to meet all the 4 criteria by the end of next year, which is the time we have left.
None of the countries met the 4 criteria. So in this type of development, we may consider a situation whereby those who are advanced in meeting the criteria will start and others join them. We should be considering those type of options, you know. I think it's done in some countries, even in the European Union. This is what happened, this is what obtained. Some started that were able to meet all the criteria and others will join. So we may be considering these options. But what I think I'm more or less pleased with now is that even though we have not been able to, all of us not been able to meet the convergence criteria, but there is awareness and a commitment by all of us.
Dr. Nelson Magbabiola is Acting Director, Multilateral Surveillance at the ECOWAS Commission.
But basically there are 2 timelines. That is one of 2015 for the second regional currency and 2020. There are indications that this may not be feasible in 2015. But we need evidence, because we have postponed this date 3 times. The issue of credibility comes in. We want to be credible. We want a credible monetary union. And that's why we are taking all effort to ensure that all other structural issues are addressed, as well as the issue of the convergence criteria.
Experts from the ECOWAS Commission, Central Banks of West African States, BCEAO, West African Monetary Agency, WAMA, West African Monetary Institute, WAMI, West African Bankers Association, WABA, the ECOWAS Bank for Investment and Development, IBID, and the West African Economic and Monetary Union, UMOA Commission, also met for several days to review the revised roadmap. The proposed timelines on some of the activities will be presented to the next meeting of the ECOWAS Convergence Council through the Macroeconomic Policy Technical Committee for consideration and adoption. About 2 years after the ECOWAS campaign to rid West Africa of malaria was launched in the capital Accra, the campaign returned to the Ghanaian capital for the execution of one of the critical components. A groundbreaking ceremony was performed at the Accra International Conference Center in Accra for the construction of a biolarvicide factory in Ghana in support of the ECOWAS malaria elimination campaign.
Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit, we commissioned the biolarvicide factory in Ghana.
This is the third to be constructed in West Africa under a tripartite agreement by ECOWAS, Cuba, and Venezuela as a landmark investment in support of the ECOWAS malaria elimination campaign. Similar ceremonies have been held in Côte d'Ivoire and Nigeria, where the other 2 factories are located. They will produce biolarvicide, a substance that kills mosquitoes at their larvae development stage. The factories will also produce biofertilizer to boost agricultural productivity and create jobs in the host countries in the region. President John Dramani Mahama, in his address delivered by Ghana's Health Minister Dr. Sherry Ayite, stressed that leaders of the region are determined to eliminate malaria from the region so as to free the enormous resources currently expended on battling this scourge. The President said malaria stands between us and the achievement of the Millennium Development Goals, especially because of its devastating effect on children and the life of pregnant women.
It is the leading cause of mortality among children under 5 years, and it causes anemia in pregnant women and low birth weight in infants. Improving our capacity to control malaria and eventually eliminate and even eradicate it, therefore, remains the dream of all leaders within the ECOWAS region and beyond Africa.
President of the ECOWAS Commission, Kadri Desiree Wadrego, said the groundbreaking ceremony in Accra, the last in the series, gives concrete expression to the leaders' determination to eliminate malaria from the region. He acknowledged the role of his two predecessors, Dr. Mohamed Ibn Chambers and Ambassador James Victor Beho, in raising the profile of the malaria elimination program.
Today's ceremony, that comprised of a town hall meeting and the launching of a factory, gives concrete expression to our leaders' resolve and determination to eliminate malaria from our region since the launching of the ECOWAS Malaria Elimination Campaign here in Accra in July 2011. The ECOWAS Malaria Elimination Campaign is totally in line with the just concluded special Abuja summit of the African Union on HIV/AIDS, tuberculosis and malaria, which undertook, among other actions, to intensify the use of larval source management where suitable for the control and elimination of malaria. This launch of construction of the biolarvicide factory taking place in Accra marks an important step towards the realization of our partnership and commitment.
Here we know.
Dr. Marian Ngula, the ECOWAS Special Advisor on Health, traced the background to the regional campaign, noting that if other parts of the world could do it, Africa and West Africa must fight and win the war against malaria.
And we need people.
The charge d'affaires of the Cuban embassy in Ghana, Thomas Mendes, and his Venezuelan counterpart in Benin, Oscar Cabello, reaffirmed their country's total commitment and determination to ensure the success of the regional campaign under the Tripartite Accord. Malaria causes thousands of deaths, particularly of children under 5 years old and pregnant women in Africa, as well as economic losses, put at more than $12 billion annually. Ghana alone is reported to suffer economic losses of about $730 million, while about 13% of all recorded deaths in the country are attributed to malaria. Monrovia, capital of Liberia, hosted another ceremony for an initiative that will serve the short and long-term interest of the region.
My name is Kweku Ankuma Asare. I'm an African, but I happen to be born in Ghana. I'm proud to be an ECOWAS volunteer.
The ECOWAS Volunteer Scheme seeks to use the initiative, creativity, drive and energy of the region's youth to drive some of the region's dream.
We will be able to upload information.
The pilot phase of the ECOWAS Volunteers Program EVP, involving youths between the ages of 18 and 35, was officially launched in Monrovia in March 2010. The pioneering set was deployed to Liberia, and they included laboratory technicians, environmental health specialists, curriculum development specialists, mental health specialists, nurses, as well as science and art teachers.
Our focus also has really been to make sure that the volunteers, even though when they contribute, that they're building local capacity, but there's also a possibility for local ownership in the end. That whatever they do, people is something that they value, that these people can take it forth way after the volunteers leave.
They are doing well. They are doing well for us, because for them to take people from other countries to send them here to teach our children, and for me, they are doing well.
They spent 2 years in post-conflict Liberia, contributing to rebuilding a culture of peace while growing the capacity of the country in various areas. A letter from some of their students paid the greatest tribute to the spirit and accomplishment of these young men and women in helping out post-conflict Liberia.
For the few times we have been interacting with you, we have come to learn much about volunteering and how to render help to others voluntarily.